Hip-hop is not just the music, it's not just rap. It's a living, breathing culture that embodies the DJs or the DJing, the MCs, the MCing, the aerosol art, or what we call graffiti, the B-boys and B-girls, or breaking.
One person did not create this culture. It's three. Herc, Bam, and myself. I was born in the Bronx, raised in the Bronx, come from the Bronx.
I love. Just the love of all different music. My father loved music. At the time, I was a graffiti. I was tagging places. This guy called me Hercules. I said, don't call me Hercules. I said, call me Herc. He called me Kool Herc.
Kool Herc played this wonderful music. He played these wonderful B-sides, C-sides, D-sides of records. And he had this amazing sound system called the Herculoids.
I started hearing about this guy by the name of Herc. Everybody kept on talking about Herc. So that's when the fellas and I from the neighborhood, we decided to go and check out Kool Herc for the very first time.
My first hip-hop party was the Kool Herc party. At age 14, I was a freshman at Truman High School. And all my friends, they would say, man, we gotta go check out Kool Herc because his parties are supposed to be, the party.
I started organizing this party. Where am I gonna get the music from? Herc had all the equipment in his room. So I knew he was gonna be playing the music. How much are we gonna charge people? Charge 25 cents for girls, 50 cents for fellas. How do you promote it now? I had index cards. Before there were flyers, there were index cards. And on the top, we always gave it a title, which was whatever the current song was. And I put Kool Herc's name on it because he's gonna be the DJ. And he was pretty popular in the neighborhood and in school. So they were really coming, to see Kool Herc play. Since I'm organizing it, I have to give everybody their position where they need to be. So I told my mom, Miss Campbell, is going to be in the kitchen to supervise what was going on. Herc and his crew, they set up the equipment. And people didn't realize that our parents were there. We never had any problems.
It was my first exposure to a Kool Herc party. And sound was loud. He was playing records that would not normally be heard on the radio. And the kids would form circles, and guys and girls would get in the middle of the circle and start competing in different dance styles against each other.
It was something that was different from being in like a normal disco club. It was like a little hole in the wall. Everybody was vibing and dancing and everything. And I saw the sound system that he was playing on. Now, I was used to be sneaking down to the discos at a young age, but Herc, he was playing a lot of obscure sounds that you don't normally hear, and they had a funky pattern, a rhythm that was different from anywhere else. And every time when he played that rhythm, I saw that people in the dance floor assembled and started doing some footwork, which is called breakdancing. And I was amazed by watching this whole thing.
It was really great. We had to be creative. We didn't have a stroke light at the time. And it was Herc's friend, his name is Mike. So he stood by the light switch and Herc would stay in the microphone. And, Mike hit the lights when the B-boys started breaking. So Mike was just there flickering the light. But it was fun. Then the recreation room got to be too small. We had to find a different location. And what Herc used to do, and myself, we would give free parties in the park.
I started as a DJ.
Hi, I'm DJ Ralph McDaniel.
I'm one of those nerds that was like collecting the best speakers and the best turntables, and I collected records. I spent whatever money I had on records. And so we just started DJing at the park. Some of the best DJs you saw for free every day, in the park. And I remember Russell Simmons, who was a promoter at that time, he was like, yo, Ralphie, I got a record for you. I was like, all right, what's up? And he gave me the record, and it was a rap record. And I was like, why would people buy this? Because we do this every day for free. Like, all you gotta do is walk over here and you can see it's for free every day. And he looked at me for a second and he was like, everybody's not coming here. It changed my whole perspective on the world.
The first person that I saw do cutting, not scratching, but cutting, was Grandmaster Flash.
I was doing this technique in the park of elongating a drum break. Instead of people dancing, they were like looking under the table, How is he possibly doing this?
My first thought process of even wanting to be a DJ was, I saw the movie Wild Style in 1982. I saw Grandmaster Flash doing his thing in the movie.
A breakbeat that would normally last 10 seconds, 30 seconds long, he would find a way to do his quick mix and extend that breakbeat so that it became 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
It's grabbing a piece of existing music and looping it and repeating it and repeating it. Now machines do it. I was doing it with my hands when I was a kid in a park.
And allowed for what would become the rapper to talk on top of the beat.
His technique was very artistic, going from one record to another to keep that rhythm going.
Early on, the breakers were the stars of the 70s. And then later on, I put a microphone on the other side of the table to see if there's anyone that could speak to this new style of DJing.
Broken glass everywhere. People pissing on the stage, you know they just don't care. I can't take the smell, can't take the noise. Got no money to move out, I guess I got no choice.
The DJ was always the star. They was important. They got the party started. Back in the days, you would have a lot of groups perform on what's called DAT tapes. Before that, you had them performing with instruments. Jam Master Jay made the turntable a true instrument. He took what DJs used to do in the parks and kind of transferred that over to a commercial platform. He could bump the turntables and the whole show could be over. He made the DJ not only important, but he transferred what the DJs were doing in the parks into arenas.
My job is to entertain the audience, make them feel good. I consider myself like the band leader, the maestro, the Pied Piper. I gotta play the right set for people to follow.
I was one of the first DJs during that period to play hip-hop on the radio, and I think probably the first one on Long Island, which is not too far from Queens.
Queens is heavy jazz-based. Murals all over Queens with jazz artists, and when jazz artists wanted to move to somewhere else outside of Manhattan, they moved to St. Albans, Queens, and that's exactly where Tribe Called Quest came from.
It was just this unique place where music, street culture, and opportunity all converged for young people.
Let me take it to the Queen side.
Queens changed the game. When Run DMC came out in '84, their look looked like Kids on the Block. Prior to that, hip hop looked like Rick James, leather, jerry curls, because that's all they knew. When Run DMC came in, it was like, no, we're gonna dress just like how we dress when we're on the block. We got our Adidas on, we got our jeans, the hat, you know, some type of leather jacket, and then everybody wanted to look like them.
When they hold the Adidas sneakers in the air, I'm in Madison Square Garden, and the arena is sold out. And I'm not remembering whether it was Run or D holding up the Adidas, and then all the kids started doing the same thing. And there are two things that were incredibly apparent. And Adidas is going to do a deal with Run DMC, and that you're at the dawn of a fashion revolution.
Got blue and black, cause I likes to chill, and yellow and green when it's time to get ill.
The day that Jam Master Jay walked into the store and had this huge sneaker, Adidas sneaker, and told me the story, he said, Dad, look what Adidas gave me. Brands saw the power of hip hop. Jam Master Jay wearing Adidas and making that #1 hit.
My Adidas walk through concert doors and roam all over Coliseum floors.
Signaled the power of hip hop and its relationship to branding.
They were able to take that wonderful style that was so native to New York and native to the youth culture of that era and bring it globally.
If you were a kid growing up in the 80s and the early 90s, you saw the possibility of this music becoming worldwide. And you hear people saying that, you know, hip hop is nothing but noise. You hear people saying that it's going to be a fad. It's going to get played out pretty soon.
It's coming from the streets, it's a nonsense. They were saying all type of negative things about it.
The first time I really heard hip-hop on the radio was with the Sugar Hill Gang.
I'm going down in history as the baddest rapper that ever could be.
And when Rapper's Delight came out. Sugar Hill had the nerve to put the record out with an instrumental on the other side. Like, try it. It's not that easy.
The radio was one of the hardest obstacles to overcome because the black radio stations didn't really understand what rap music was all about. Not really understanding that this is what the kids in the street really wanted to hear.
The radio at that time was everything. Everybody and their mother listened to the radio. If you wanted to hear your favorite song, you waited for the radio to play. No smartphones, no MP3s, no MP4s of any way, shape, or form. Napster wasn't created yet, so everything was radio. And all my heroes and all the DJs that I looked up to were on the radio.
We're jamming with Red Alert on 98.7 KISS FM.
I'll call it the internet of our time, and that's the cassette tapes. People would record them on the radio. Tapes would be floating around in the streets, in the cars, overseas. So when they was taping me off the radio, that's how people got to be familiar with me, because you start hearing tapes of me everywhere around. So when videos came and played, people can recognize how you look. So when people asked me to be in their videos, I took advantage and started using that as for a marketing tool.
I started to VJ in '86 or so. If you look at the opening of Video Music Box, it was Prince, Bruce Springsteen, the Fat Boys, Run DMC. That's what Video Music Box looked like when it first started. After a while, the audience started to change. So the audience said, you don't have any hip hop? They were like, Ralph, we need you. Please bring us the black videos. Please bring us the hip hop videos. I had exclusive stuff that nobody else had.
You know, we had Ralph McDaniel. That's the only thing we had.
I would go out and shoot the artist performing somewhere. I'd bring the camera and turn the lights on, and everybody would be like, oh, like this. And he's like, what is this? Like, they thought I was the news. He's like, so what happened? Somebody got shot? And I'm like, no, it's a Video Music Box. It's like a show.
First time I seen my video was on Video Music Box.
Y'all should watch it. And people started watching it. We link up with this guy named Nas, kid who was sitting in Queensbridge Projects, wants to rap. He's been watching Video Music Box for as long as he can remember as a kid.
From the split that I lived in hell, it ain't hard to tell.
And I go, okay, this is different. I said, what do you want it to be like? He said, I just want it to be like whatever you do on Video Music Box, because I love what you do on Video Music Box. So I said, all right, fine. I could do that. Shot the video, came out, and it was the hottest thing.
In the early 90s, you start hearing more of the sounds from out west. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube. But before them, you had Ice-T. And now it's in other people that was coming to the 90s, Diddy, Sean Combs, and Mr. Sean Carter. They built labels. They brought some of the greats out, Biggie and Wu-Tang Clan.
I grew up on the crime side, the New York Times side.
When you get a Wu-Tang or you get a Nas, and they're spitting the same lyrics as this, but they look like you. There's no fancy jewelry, there's no name brand clothing, just the stuff that you would see if you walked out your door and seen dudes hustling or whatever they're doing in your neighborhood. And people were like, this is what I identify with. This is not selling out. This is culture.
There's two eras of golden for me. The first golden era of hip hop to me was the Slick Ricks, the Gucci raps, but then some people say the Biggie era and the Tupac era were the golden eras.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine.
When he painted his songs, right, he painted in full color, and the spectrum was just so vibrant and vivid.
Never thought that hip hop would take it this far.
But very simplistic also. Like, he could rap, and my moms could even follow the lyrics. Before Biggie dropped, there was a lot of linguistic styles and guys rapping really fast. But with Biggie, he never had that problem. You heard it, you understood it, it was clean, it was simple. That was his way of resonating to a lot of the masses.
Biggie, Biggie, can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me.
The Bad Boy era ran everything. When Puffy and the Bad Boy Records family came out, they kind of like filled all the slots. They were on the radio 24/7, like another Bad Boy record, another Bad Boy record. That's how dominant they were.
There was an era where the South just came and took over. Ludacris, Outkast, you know, it just took over the game, period. Where New York was always on top. Then came these guys, and we was like this. I loved it because the South came with a new sound, a new energy. Crunk music, Little John came over, whole new sound, whole nother energy. The purest New Yorkers were hating on it. The younger world was loving the South here in New York. I think it's a beautiful thing. Why? Because hip hop grew.
I would have never imagined hip hop taking me or the culture this far, because it's never happened. You know, everything that's happening in hip hop happened for the first time. Every day is history. We were doing it for fun. And once it got on the radio, we were still doing it for fun. And we didn't understand that that was also a business. First 10 years of hip hop, we were doing it for fun, but nobody was getting paid. The next 10 years, they started making money. Run DMC, they basically broke the mold to start making some money, some real money show-wise. After the first 20 years, they started making books, writing books about the business so we can learn the business. So now we understand publishing and royalties and licensing and stuff like that. So having that knowledge now, we can capitalize on it.
As black people, sometimes we go into situations and we don't get to own our stuff. And what I most appreciate about Jay-Z, he said in his raps what he was going to do.
I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman.
And he pulled it off. Signing to a label, putting out records, became president of the label, then he created his own label, and he pretty much created his own island to where he can do anything he wants to do. And I think in this art form for hip hop, there should be more people like that.
And I can't help the poor if I'm one of them. So I got rich and gave back to me, that's the win-win.
Hip hop has created many successful careers for many, many people.
When we're talking about the females, they kept the art of rap within hip-hop culture alive, just like I did for the next wave of female MCs or rappers to come through.
Everyone has benefited from this culture.
Hip-hop is the way of life. It's the way how you feel. It's how you present yourself.
Hip-hop has been able to take people and let them be able to express themselves in a clear way.
It's 50 years, you know, and it's a wonderful run. A lot of times they were going to give up on it. We never gave up on it. We knew where the journey was going to go.
What started here in the Bronx has now become the most influential art form in the entire world. You can't go anywhere in the world without experiencing hip-hop culture in one form or another. It has really become a part of every aspect of modern society.